Then the characteristic of CAN. The first characteristic of CAN is carriers and multiple access, which is nothing but as I told you before, it is a democratic concept. So every node on the network must monitor the bus for a period of no activity. That means if they will check whether the voltage of the bus reaches 2.5 volt, they used to monitor the bus. The moment they come to know that bus is 2.5 volt, everybody will push their start-off rate. Once the bus is idle, every node has equal opportunity to transmit the message. If two nodes happen to transmit simultaneously, if they are transmitting in different time, no problem. The one can go fast and then after some time the other one is transmitting, not at all an issue. But when the two nodes is trying to transmit simultaneously, in order to find the winner, they use the mechanism of arbitration. I will explain you how the arbitration works in upcoming. Then the second characteristic is CAN uses packet identifier for every packet that it tracks. But we don't have this one in RS-232. So because of that, there is no organizing. So if some packet is missing, that RS-232 doesn't have a mechanism to find out which packet was missed. They will simply malfunction. But it won't happen in CAN because every packet has been given a number, unique number. So that is the second characteristic of CAN. This identifier is used for arbitration and message filtering and various things. That is different. The reason why they give this identifier is for this purpose only, find out the winner and then to filter out unwanted messages. For those purpose only, they have this unique number. The CAN devices can also ask another node to transmit a packet using something called as a remote frame. We are going to study that. A node is transmitting a data to another node. This is a common transmission that used to happen in every communication. But the CAN especially has something like the receiver or another node can ask a particular node to send a particular message by specifying, hey, please send 128, or by giving an identifier, it can ask the other node to transmit a message. That is called as a remote frame that we are going to study in detail in upcoming slide. CAN also uses the concept of one more thing that we have to understand is the flexibility in extending the network. Today you have 5 nodes. Tomorrow you can simply bring in another node and connect it with the bus so that it can transmit, it can exchange the message with other system. There is no any special configuration. Reconfiguration is not required. You can extend your network. That is what they are saying. All these things are coming under the second characteristics. The first characteristic is a CSMA. The second characteristic is the message-based communication. The CAN also has a concept of sleep and wake up. What is sleep and wake up? Why we need that? This sleep and wake ups are primarily developed by keeping the automotive unit in mind. Why? So you have a vehicle that is in full running, it consumes some 0.25 amps. After driving, you just parked your vehicle. Even in that time, if it consumes 0.5 volt, what will happen? You park the vehicle for some 2 to 3 days. What will happen now? Battery will die. To avoid the battery draining, so what they did, they brought this mechanism. When the driver park the vehicle, they will simply stop the peripheral clock, CPU clock, and then they will go to a mode called idle mode of microcontroller. In that time, they will adjust the clocks and peripherals of the microcontroller in such a way that in sleep mode, they will consume only current in the order of microamps or milliamps. Very fraction of milliamps only will be consumed when they are asleep. How they are achieving it? They stop the peripheral clock, they stop the CPU clock, and they make the different options available. During that sleep mode, you cannot see any messages, CAN message transmission, because the CAN message transmission need a current that is not needed when we are in sleep. In that time, they will simply stop all CAN messages, they will stop the peripheral clock, they will clock the CPU clock, everything will be reduced so that your device will be simply like it used to consume the current in the order of micro or milliamps. That is called as sleep. We cannot leave the device in sleep forever. Again, when we need a vehicle, we have to bring that back to alive. We have to bring that to full functional level. That is achieved via a concept called wake up. During the wake up, they will again start all the clocks and they will energize the bus. They will bring the messages. That is called as wake up. This sleep and wake up is a very famous in every automotive issue. Very frequently, you will hear this term, sleep and wake up. The sleep and wake up is nothing but the sleep means reducing the current consumption by adjusting the microcontroller clock and then bus peripheral, all those stuff. Wake up means bringing them back, bringing them to the full functionality. Usually in wake up, we used to consume more current. Is that clear? Sleep and wake up. Okay. Today I want to stop with this. We will see the rest of the thing tomorrow. Okay, team. Do you have any doubt in today's session up to now?
Data frame also have clock signal?
Data frame has what you are asking? No, I didn't get you.
Clock signal like startup frame
Okay.
you told clock
Actually,
signal.
as we have a starter frame, end of frame also has bits. We should not say that with a clock signal, bit voltage. So it used to have its own bit voltage.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Thank you. I will catch you tomorrow.